Alright folks, it's been a little while since I've done one of these and it's really hot out here right now, so I'm going to try to make this quick for my own benefit. So this is an update video for, well, today it's the 26th of July, so there you go. And I'm going to show you all that I've gotten done on my cars, which is not much, but whatever, here we go. So first things first, the Lincoln, which I am driving this week, I did get it to drive now. I changed the filter in the transmission, flush the fluid, and shockingly, it still gets all 4 gears. It shifts really late and it shifts really hard, but it gets all 4 gears and it's reliable enough to drive around town. I haven't tried taking it out of town yet because the engine problems still haven't been fixed, and sometimes it won't like to start after you shut it off, so I've been leaving it running when I go to the grocery store and stuff. But it is my one of two of the only cars that I have that have AC at the moment, and since it is 95 degrees right now, I need to have the AC. So I've been driving this to keep the miles off the Cadillac, which has some other problems, which I'll get into later. But nothing else has really been fixed on this. My cassette player is still causing me trouble. I know I released a video on the tape deck mechanism not working. Something was wrong with the old one, so I replaced it with this one from a parts car, and now the motors have gone bad, so expect a video on that pretty soon. Other than that, nothing else has really been done to it, nothing else really happened to it. I'm expecting to get those engine problems fixed here in the next couple of weeks so I can actually start driving it more, because honestly, I'm getting a little more used to the Cadillac, but it's a pretty close call between the Cadillac and this for being a more liked car by me. So that is all for the Lincoln right now, and let's pick up at the shop. Okay, so here we are with the Cadillac. Like I mentioned earlier, this thing did develop a problem just in the last week or so that I have to address. I did get the CD player to work fairly well. It still has a hard time ejecting some CDs here and there, but all in all, it's much better than it was before I fixed it. Nothing else has really been done to it / gone wrong with it. I fixed my compass, but other than that, the exhaust, which I know I haven't really made any repair videos on this caddy, but basically when I got it, the exhaust was rusted off, so I put in some flex tubes and straight pipes and made my own sort of sideways custom exhaust. Well, I hit a big pothole, and that one there on this side popped off of the pipe over the differential. That's why it's lower, and now it's been bottoming out on every time I go over uneven surfaces. And I've done what I can to fix it myself, so I'm going to take it somewhere and have them fix it because I just don't want to deal with it. I also got hit in a parking lot. That's a dent, and it made the rust ever so exaggerated now. So I'm probably going to end up replacing this rear bumper if I can get it off. But I think the more realistic thing is going to end up me riveting some sheet steel from here all the way back to here, so it's just covered and it doesn't look like too bad. So hopefully I can do that successfully. The Mercury, I did a video on it, which at this time I haven't uploaded yet, but I will before you see this. I fixed the door bushings on it, and that is it. I haven't done anything else to it. I've been driving it when it's not 90 degrees out, and it's been very good to me. It hasn't stalled or done anything goofy. It does backfire every once in a while, lean backfire at the carb, but once it's warmed up, it doesn't really have any problems. So once it's not so hot that it overheats the second you start it up, which is an exaggeration, but all the tolerances being super high because of the brand new engine in there, it does get hot relatively quicker than it should if it was, say, a fully broken in engine. But technically, according to the books that I have on the engine rebuild, I have gone past the threshold of full break-in, so it is good to go. I changed my oil for the second time, put new zinc in it, put a new filter on it, so it's good to drive now, but it's just too damn hot. It gets really hot, and I don't like how hot it gets. I think I'm gonna have to put a coolant recovery tank in it, made out of an old whiskey bottle or something. because it's just every time I drive it, it loses coolant. And obviously I'm not going to drive this past, you know, in the winter time or in the spring when there's still snow on the ground. So summer and fall is the only time that this thing gets to be driven, and right now it's too damn hot to do anything. But I did fix the door bushings, so the doors don't rattle anymore when you push on them. You can open them and close them without the rattle anymore, which is nice. I've only driven it once since I fixed that, but it is nice. So that's all that's going on the Mercury. Now go over the olds here. Nothing that I can remember right now on this that I've done to it since I last put a video up regarding this car. I fixed a lot of odds and ends here and there. One of the one valve cover that I did not replace, I replaced driver's side valve cover. Passenger side I left alone because of how hard it was to get to. Well, that now has started to leak, so I'm gonna have to do that eventually. But I did delete the smog system on this. And the exhaust in place of the catalytic converter, I put a straight pipe, and it's very loud now. And at first it was just because the straight pipe wasn't clamped down all the way, so I made sure to clamp it down a little harder. And the exhaust leak from under the passenger side has gone away, but it's still very loud out the tailpipe, which means my muffler was probably shot and has been like that for a while. And the only thing keeping the car quiet before was the catalytic converter, which is now gone. So I'm probably going to end up having to replace the muffler on it. And in order for any shop to do that, or any reputable shop anyway, I have to have a catalytic converter on it. So I'm probably going to end up going and buying one of them universal cats you can get on Amazon for like 20 bucks. Put that on there just so it has one, so it's legal to work on. And then they can put a new muffler on it and fix that. Other than that, the taillight socket, which I posted a video on a while ago, I put a new socket in there and it still doesn't work. So whoever told me to do that was wrong. Not your fault. It's a weird car and it's hard to diagnose things from over the online, but new socket didn't work. But I am getting power and ground at the socket, so I don't know what the hell is going on, but I've given up on that. So next thing for this, I'm replacing the transmission lockup solenoid, and something else that I can't remember right now, but the main thing is that lockup solenoid, so that I will be able to take it out of town and get good gas mileage on the highway. Besides that, the Mercury Comet is not here right now. It's at the place that I keep the Lincoln when I'm not driving the Lincoln. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing to tell, nothing to show on it. Nothing's happened with it since I mentioned it last. I am going to eventually get the stock steel wheels for it. My front tires, I noticed, are wearing a little funny. They got feathering on the inner sidewalls, so my alignment's probably off. So I'll need to rotate the tires, get new rims, put the old tires on the new rims, align it, and eventually, probably next spring, I'm going to paint the car, and I've decided to paint it a dark green, sort of turquoise color, so it matches with the blue interior. But that's all that's going on with the Comet right now. Nothing, like I said, nothing really to show or tell on it. But now that you've seen all this, I've got a story for you. One more car, new arrival. I did not buy this. This is a 1984 Chevy Citation. A customer came into the place that I work talking about how he had this car and he was looking for anybody who'd want to take it because he couldn't get rid of it without the junkyard charging him to haul it away. So I asked him how much he wanted for it because I wasn't interested, and he said nothing, take it. So I figured, well, what the hell, free car. So I've got this now. I had to interrupt myself. It was getting really hot standing out there in the sun. I was sweating, and sweating was going in my eyes. I couldn't see anything. Sit in the shade here for a few minutes. Then I'll go back out there. I'll give you a walk around of it. But basically, 84 Citation, nothing's wrong with it. It's just old. It's got some electrical issues, and it had a bad battery when I got it. Charged up the battery, wouldn't hold a charge. So I just got a new battery. I'm about to put it in. We'll see what happens. It does start and drive. I drove it here from where I got it at. I had to pick it up at the guy's house. Nothing was wrong with it when I drove it. I only drove it a few miles. He conveniently lived nearby, so wasn't a big deal, about 5 miles. But nothing seemed to be wrong when I drove it. He does have a fair bit of aftermarket bullshit that he put in there himself. It was an older guy, but he put it in there back when he was younger. He's got a CD player, which is installed under the dash. He had a bunch of stupid gauges that didn't work, that were covering up gauges that were supposed to be there, like a volt gauge was covered up by a tack that didn't work, as well as the driver's side vent was covered up by an oil pressure gauge that didn't read correctly. There's a bunch of switches everywhere that I don't know what they do, so I'm in the process of cleaning all that stuff up and getting it back to original. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. Up until just recently, I've decided that since it is a hatchback, it's a real hatchback, the rear seats fold down, you've got a fair bit of storage space for a compact car. I'll use it as a temporary utility vehicle since I don't own a truck yet. And then when I do get a truck, I'll just sell the Citation for a couple $1,000 and call it even. So I'm not going to do anything too crazy to it. I thought at first maybe I'll put some subs in it or something. It's a hatchback. It's a little car. It has a smaller engine in it than the Comet, so it probably gets better gas mileage. It's lighter and it's front-wheel drive, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is what it is. Free car. But I'll get back out there. I'll do a little walk around for you. All right, so here we go. It's got these aftermarket fog lights, which I think I'm going to keep because they don't hurt anything and the wiring isn't in the way for anything. He actually put that switch in a nice spot under the dash. It's not in the way or anything like that, so I'm probably going to end up keeping those because why the heck not? This is the tubing for the oil pressure gauge that I'm in the process of getting rid of. I'm not sure if this is going to become an oil leak now that I have this unhooked, so I might have to figure out how to cap that off. He's got these stupid LED sealed beam deals in here, which I'm going to replace with original because the alternator that's in this car is not big enough to run all this shit. So that's going to get replaced with a halogen. Apart from that, there's nothing else out here that's different. I don't like these wheels. These are factory. These are special edition sport aluminum alloy wheels. I don't like them, but they're not getting replaced, so it's just going to have to be like that. Door handle's missing. It broke off. There's no way to get into the driver's door from this side. I've got to climb in through the passenger side. So I will be replacing that. Interior's clean. It's really clean. The guy took good care of this car. There's that stupid CD player. There's a string that you can pull when you open the passenger side door. You pull that string and it opens the driver's side door there. But let me just get a look-see here for you. Right there, where the driver's side vent was, that's where the oil pressure gauge was. Now it's out now. But there's still a couple of switches I have to reposition. Right there on that, where that quartz clock is, that used to be a tack, and that's gone now. I'm going to keep the temp gauge because that's something you actually need, but I'm going to reposition it in place where the old radio used to be, which is that hole right there. I'm not sure if you can see it very well. There we go. Original radio in these was a sideways radio. It was vertically mounted instead of horizontally. So the dial was vertical, which would be really cool to have as a novelty. But unfortunately, I don't have a reason to have a non-working original radio in a car that isn't really a collector's item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two kill switches over here. One of those is a fan clutch, and the other one is a kill switch for the ignition. And I'm going to put that temp gauge right there. And then I'm going to put a nice little delete plate and make it look uniform like it was almost meant to be there. Other than that, it's got a whole mess of wiring under the seat there, or under the dash, that I just need to clear up. Everything is just... it's really poorly done. Wire nuts all over the place. It really needs to be addressed. It's missing a rear view mirror. The one that was on it was some aftermarket weird thing, and it was too big to operate the sun visors, so I just took it off. So I'll just have to go to the junkyard and get a rear view for it. Other than that, it's a pretty clean car. It's got power windows, which work. It's got power steering, power brakes, all working. It's an automatic transmission. 2.8 liter transverse mounted V6. So not a rear-wheel drive car like I would have wanted it to be. But hey, It's got a cup holder, which I can't tell if it's factory or not. If it's not, it was really well done aftermarket. And it's got this center console here with no lid. But hey, it's got an armrest. Can't beat that. The Comet does not have an armrest, and I would really like to have one sometimes. So without further ado, I'm going to show you under the hood of what I'm dealing with the wiring. And then I'm going to call this video since I'm sweating my balls off and it's way longer than I wanted it to be. So, this guy said that he bought the car from California in 1989 for $500. Drove it back here to Minnesota, and then the engine blew up. So he put a different engine in it from another Citation that he had because this guy had a fetish for Citations. So it's the correct, engine for the car, but it's not from this car. And consequently, California emissions wouldn't work on this engine. So he had to rewire everything, which is where this shit comes in. All of this shit, all of that he got rid of. He did what I did to the Oldsmobile, essentially, but he didn't do it very well, and it's really poorly done and horrible. This is that oil tube I was telling you about. That goes right down to the oil filter adapter that the oil filter screws into. The washer tank is missing for God knows what reason. There's the old pump, so that's going to need to be replaced as well as the tank. Battery's out of it right now because I don't have one, but this fog light wire was going directly over the battery like this, and it was very tightly wound, so we're going to cut this and extend it. This was the fog light power wire, which had a fuse in it for no reason because, there's a fuse under the dash in that wire too, so it doesn't need to have two fuses. So we're going to cut this off and splice this directly into this here, which is our wire for the kill switch, which was just exposed, really crappy corroded wire that he jammed into the back of this battery terminal. So we're going to put an eyelet on that and jam this into the back of the eyelet and just have two power wires coming off of it. This here is for the fan switch, since the electric fan doesn't work because California emissions is gone, the computer's gone. Look at this shit. Oh yeah, that's really secure. So we're gonna have to redo that, and redo all this bullshit. So a lot of wiring to do, but if I really wanted to, if I was lazy, I could leave it and it would still run just fine and drive just fine. But I refuse to drive a car that looks like that. So we're gonna fix it. But yeah, that's what I've got going on with this. It's a zero budget project car. I'm just gonna fix it up, fix the wiring, put a tape deck in place of that CD player, and drive it for a few years until I can get myself a truck or an SUV or some kind of something that has more storage space than this. So, without further ado, that's all I've got for you this time. Hope you didn't die of boredom in this 18-minute long video, and I'll see you in the next one.